I feel like being super raw today, and I feel like somebody is going to need to hear this. So, I used to think that I was genuinely fugly. I used to let people talk to me any kind of way. I used to not know how to speak up and tell my needs, talk about what I want. I used to not think I was worthy of even having proper food, proper place to stay, proper environment. I used to think that my worth was a lot less than what it is. I used to let people put their hands on me. I used to apologize for other people's bad behavior, and I used to say it's okay to all this shit that was other people's responsibility to be responsible for. I used to think that half the stuff that is normal for me now was not. I used to only do my life based on other people's happiness, constantly always shaping my life around what other people were doing, when I can hang out with this person, when this person needed me, and just was always conforming to what other people wanted me to be. I used to, sabotage myself, poison my body. I used to have a hard time sticking to my fitness goals, my health goals. I used to have a hard time even taking care of myself, my house. There's a lot of things that I used to, and I'm telling you guys this because if you were, I used to literally watch people show me something about themselves that was super harmful to my own life and my well-being. I'm talking severely unsafe and or just completely undermining and unloving. And I used to continue to put myself around those people that put me in danger, used to continue to put, and I'm saying all this because we all have different stages. I used to make excuses for people just because we had history or because they were family. I used to literally make excuses for people to treat me however, just because they had some sort of invisible VIP pass to my life, but that's not real. That's not okay. And I'm telling you all these things not because I need to vent about it, because I don't. I'm living in a really peaceful place and I don't need to look back, but it is really powerful to look back to keep you in check, keep yourself reminding wow, how far have I come? But also to tell you guys, if you're feeling down about yourself, if there's areas of your life that you're not okay and they're not working out for you, and the same cycle keeps happening and you're hating yourself for the way that your life is, never too late to turn that around and to evolve. I'm telling you, none of the stuff that I just mentioned is true now in my life. I used to put myself in danger because I didn't understand I was in control. There's so much we are in control of that we completely take for granted. And when I started actually looking at the things that I could control and where I could actually grow myself and I could feed myself love and I could expand my mind and expand my abundance, things started changing. You are in way more control and you have way more power than you think. And anyone that makes you feel like you don't or tries to hide that from you is probably, I know this is a cliche quote that gets thrown around Facebook, Instagram, people just don't want you to know because they benefit. But it's true. There's people that when you are in a certain mindset, when you're in a certain mindset, they benefit off of you not knowing better. And these people might not even know that they are like that. It's just more when you have a certain mindset and you allow a certain lifestyle to take place in front of you, you just naturally are in alignment with certain people. But when you start to move that and shift that, those people might continue to make that their normal reality and they might not see what's wrong with that yet, or it might always be something that they're fine with. It's sometimes not even that personal, but people do click with you better when you're in a certain mindset. And you have to be willing to just make that decision on your own and to keep evolving and understand that not everyone cares about your growth. Most people don't. It's really rare to find a partner, friends that actually really pour into your growth without being intimidated, without competing, without getting passive aggressive. It's really rare, and I'm really lucky to get to experience some people in my life. But I'm just saying, it's not even by chance. It's because also I chose to keep wanting better for myself, and it wasn't coming from a place of like ego and like, oh, I deserve better, I'm better than people. It was like I was suffering, I was in pain, and I was unhealthy, and my life force and my energy was diminishing around these people, places, and things that I was taking part in. And it was keeping me from really taking up space and being who I really am and doing the things that I love and putting the value that I know I have in myself where it needs to go to really create a fulfilling life. And I'm just telling you, wherever you're at, if you're experiencing this pain, if you're experiencing all the stuff I mentioned before that I used to go through, that I used to deal with and do, this isn't to say, also when I say it's more of like, initially if something bad happens to you that's someone else's fault, that's not me taking the responsibility off of them. It's putting the responsibility on the fact that I probably should have left, and I probably shouldn't have kept putting myself in that situation, and I probably should have stood up for myself. But like, we can only do with what we know, and we can always just do better as we move on. And eventually I did. But I'm just saying, like, when you give the power back to yourself, you're like, absolutely not. Like, if someone wants to act a certain way, I'm not going to let them in my presence. Not saying I'm going to control them, but I'm going to control myself, and I'm going to dip and leave, and I'm going to do better for myself. And I'm just saying, like, all these things I mentioned are a place of misalignment. These were all things that were not in alignment with my heart, with my spirit, with my true essence of what I actually deserved as a human being. And but me staying and partaking in things is like this unseen consenting to partaking in that reality. So like, you really do have to look at, and I feel like I have space to speak on this because I've been through some really traumatic things that most people, if they were to hear someone like me speaking on this, they'd be like, oh my God, that's not true. And they would get all defensive. We can't control that. Yes, there are situations that are very hard to get out of, very scary, very dangerous. But at the end of the day, you are in charge of your survival, your happiness, your peace, and getting yourself where you need to be that feels in alignment with who you really are. And that's always going to be a journey, but you can actually make a lot more happen in a short amount of time than you think. And I think that not a lot of people know this, because most people aren't going to tell you that, because if they are tied to your life somehow, it's usually personal. So I'm just here to tell you, wherever you're experiencing stagnancy, pain, you're forced to be in a place of low self-esteem, victimhood, helplessness, you can and will get out of that if you choose to do the right steps to get out of it. I'm just speaking from someone who has personally been there and someone who is now out. We all have problems at every level, no matter how much money you make, no matter how perfect your relationship is, no matter how perfect your family is, no matter how perfect any of those things are, there is always going to be a little bit of something going on in your life that is just like, has to do with problem solving. Problem solving is such a valuable trait because you're never going to not be using it. Like, not saying you have to create problems. You don't really need to create problems. There's just problems everywhere. So I'm just saying, like, lighten your own load, because there's always going to be natural problems in your life, but you are actually in charge of a lot more than you believe and think. You are in charge of your reality a lot more than you actually see, and you can actually decide. Part of it's just deciding now that what's not okay and what's okay, what you want to build upon and what you absolutely do not want in your life. And it's just continuing to make that decision. I would say, I know comparison is the thief of joy, but I'm just going to tell you right now, indecision is the thief of joy and life. Like, indecision will put you in a spot of disempowerment so fast where you're just sitting there, and it does actually enable the freeze response, very heavy, or fawn if you have that. But it's something that I'm saying if you're having a hard time, if you're in any of these things, I think just getting really decisive is the best way to create movement in your life and have some form of result or level up. If we're gonna go there, it's like, as every moment I've had extreme growth was a moment where I made a decision and I stuck with it. And I kept my promises to myself. I saw my vision, my worth clearly, and I took inspired action, took real action, real decisiveness, and put it all together. Waiting on things around you to evolve when you make the same decisions every day is not exactly like a productive mindset, because yes, there are things in life you can let be and they're like good decisions and stuff. But if you're in life and you're just waiting to do something, you're like, oh, maybe something will change. Maybe once this happens and that happens, or I'm just waiting for this to happen to be ready for this. It's like, no, no, because you're not going to be ready until you make the decision that you're ready. If that makes sense. Being decisive is so valuable. And I just want to come on here and encourage you guys, at every stage of my life where I was dealing with stuff that was not okay, that I did not deserve, and that I needed to get out of, it was not ever all these complicated things that got me out of it, complicated mindsets, little tricks. It was literally being decisive. So if someone's not valuing you, your time, you feel like you got to put on this pity party show to get someone to want to pay attention to you, to value your time. If someone's not honoring the boundaries you have or the way that you want to connect, and or even with jobs, relationships, family, whatever. If someone's not valuing your life and loving it, pouring gratitude into it, and even with yourself, if you're in things, if you're in habits, if you're in circumstances where it causes you to abandon, neglect yourself, and not be one with yourself, it really just takes you out of alignment. You don't belong there. That's not your thing. That's not your jam. So I'm just saying this because a lot of times when we're in these things, we make it more complicated than it needs to be. And also, so pretty much, long story short, if you want to have growth, if you want your life to change, if you're not happy with what you're getting, you need to make a decision. Make a decision, figure out what needs to change, whether that's internal or external. Start committing yourself to that change. Just fully accepting it too will start to shift things. That's the internal factor, and that feeds into law of attraction and stuff. And I'm telling you, as soon as you make a decision, the universe, God, source, creator, whatever you want to call it, will move with you. It will decide to move with you. So you just need to make the decision. And like I said, if you want, go look at my goal setting post, because goals can be all sorts of things. Goals are not always something really super inspiring. Sometimes it's just getting to a place where you could be sane and safe and peaceful. And that was what a lot of my goals were in my early 20s. Really just trying to overcome things that were absolutely not okay. Should have never been okay. Should have never been in my life. But I'm just saying, get decisive, get clear, get honest with yourself, because those are the main things that keep any of us in a disempowered, hopeless, victim mentality place where we feel like we don't have room to move. We feel like we don't have room to make decisions or heal. It's always when you feel like you have no choice is when you need to get super honest with yourself and look at your options. So I'm saying this, I know it might sound rough. I don't really know, because this is just the truth to me. So this might sound harsh to some of you, might sound a little wow, that's a little much. I don't know, but I'm just saying this is the realness. And I choose to speak on this because there's too many people in situations they should not be in. There's too many people resting and sleeping. There's too many people sleeping on their own worth, staying in perpetuated cycles that are just draining their life force, draining their energy. People out here discombobulated in the mind, in the energy, and cannot do what they really want to do, and it's causing pain. It's causing hatred towards other people and themselves. And these are just things like that are really real that need to be talked about. And I think that we just need more honesty, bluntness when it comes to this stuff, because honestly, that's what that's what continued to evolve me through so much. I feel like I lived like 4 different to 7 different lifetimes in the last 5 years, and it was because I continued to move and make the decisions for my highest good. I stayed in connection with my higher self, and she would not let me stop at a level. And some of us are so disconnected from that, and trust me, I have been too, but that's why you should be taking your health seriously, whether that's your fitness, working out, your nutrition, and stuff like that. You should be taking your mental health seriously. You should be tapping into your spirituality. You should be doing your inner work. You should be connecting with yourself. You should be figuring out your needs and your traumas and working through these things. Like, you should be choosing to live on purpose in these areas, because that is what is going to nurture you and take care of you and put you in a place of alignment. And the more that you neglect that to please this person, to get approval from this person, to play this role and look like this to other people, the more that you're going to just continue to go down that hole of not being in alignment with yourself, and the more work you're going to tally up that you're going to have to do later. The more you ignore it, the bigger. There's different settings to this, and I know there's like so many different kinds of people that watch my stuff. So if you're in a place where you're still in survival and you cannot like even focus on goal setting and like figuring out what you want to do with your life and all this stuff because you're just trying to survive, there might be some serious decisions you have to make to get to a place where you are, like, you personally are in a place where you don't have to survive anymore. You're around people that don't let you stay in survival mode, and that you're able to heal. That is your priority. If you're past that and you're in a place where you really are at peace, you love yourself, and you're trying to figure out, what am I going to build that's going to sustain the rest of my life? Then we get into like dreams and like law of attraction, figuring out like what you want to do, putting that vision together, and actually figuring out how to execute it. And then, you know, there's other layers, but those are pretty much the 2 major biggest layers. So if you're still in survival, you're in a situation where you're in survival, there's some decisions that need to be made. That is number 1. I could not build while I was in those situations. I could build a little bit, but it was very slow. And I had to keep like making decisions to get out of survival. And I kind of did, in the last 5 years, I did a little bit of both. I did, like, I was getting out of survival, getting out of situations, saying no to everything around me that was putting me in fight or flight, freeze or fawn, putting me in a disempowered place, making me feel like crap about myself. Continue to get out of that, putting myself in the next best situation that I could. And you might have to do that quite a few times. I know a lot of us want to settle because we just want it to be over, but sometimes you got to do that quite a few times before you get to a place where you're actually good. You know, I had to do that. And some of you might have to do that way more than I even had to, you know, so it's different. And then if you are somewhere where you're safe, you're happy, you know, you don't really got to worry about survival, but you're just sleeping on your own value and you're choosing to just live life like you don't know what's happening, you don't know what you're doing, and like everything's just confusing and boring and you're not tapped in. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you're not in survival mode and you didn't have to be much in your life, I mean, there's a spectrum. Everyone dealt with a little bit of it, and I don't think there's such black and white situations, but if you're just choosing to sleep on your own purpose and you're just choosing to live life in this, like, weird, like, confused state when you don't really have a lot to worry about, like, you don't have to be in that survival mode, like, you need to get real with yourself and be like, well, okay, let's tap into the potential then. Let's tap into what makes me feel alive, because how many people would kill to be in a place where they can actually take action on what makes them feel alive and live a beautiful, full life of ease? Not saying that you have to capitalize on that, but I just feel like there are people that are in good places that are still unhappy, they're still in pain, they're still unhealthy, confused, not really treating themselves and other people from a really good place, you know what I'm saying? And if any of this resonates with you, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not a bad person, but I'm just saying it's all subjective to like what is right for you and not taking life for granted. That's like the overall lesson here. Be decisive, live on purpose, don't take life for granted, and see what happens. Like, see what happens to your life. If you're sitting here complaining about, oh, this won't change and this has been going on for years, and oh, I'm never going to get this, and I'm not the kind of person, just all those negative limiting beliefs that maybe you spew in your head or you complain about at the bar every weekend with your friends, look at that and figure out what you've been doing that's perpetuating that cycle. Because to be honest, you complaining about it and not doing anything about it and acting like it's just the way things are is going to make sure that that is what your life continues to look like for the rest of your life. So I'm a huge fan of making everything your fault. And I know that's harsh. I'm not mean to myself, but I always look at where I can take responsibility in the situation and where I can develop something healthier, create a new perspective, and grow with what is causing adversity or resistance in my life. And oftentimes, I don't deal with problems for very long. A lot of you guys are like sitting there complaining, watching other people live their life on social media or not, and you're like, that must be fake, whatever. Oh, it's fake, it's social media. No, there's people out here really living their lives, doing their best and like having a good time. But they're not on here complaining about their problems because they're actually doing something about it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know me like that, I find sharing vulnerability and pain is something you have to earn with people. So of course people are not out here on social media just sharing their shortcomings, their downfalls, their pain, their vulnerability. That's something that comes up later for a learning lesson, for like a more charitable cause on here to help other people gain inspiration and understanding. But it's not anyone's business. And I'm just saying that like most people that aren't like that complain online are not doing anything to help their situation. That's like the majority case. So I'm a firm believer in like, I'm not going to come on here and talk about what's going on because I'm actually dealing with it, and it's not going to be the case in a short amount of time. I can't say an exact time, but the way that I'm handling it is it won't be the case within time. Like at least the part that I can control about it, if that makes sense. I feel like social media and this whole online platform, it's just everyone has to go to work, and and then people, when they get off work, they come on social media. I try to stay off of it as much as possible because I have to do a lot of work on here. But I just noticed, like, everywhere I go, people are on social media. Everyone looks sad. Everyone looks angry. And they're just, like, looking at other people. And they're like, yeah, one day this, one day that. Or that's probably fake or whatever. And it's like, maybe you shouldn't compare or be looking at other people's lives. And you should start working on your own. And you should figure out, like, I even see people who have good lives. And they're saying, like, oh, people on social media that do this or this, and just making comments on other people's lives. And it's like, if you truly were happy with what you're doing, you wouldn't be commenting assumptions on other people's stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? People that are genuinely happy, successful, and have a good relationship with life aren't out here doing that. All this comes from a place of tough love, because I truly believe everyone deserves to see the path and to be able to make a choice to give themselves and other people the best version of their life. And sometimes you really do just have to like look at it and be like, I need to make a decision. I need to stop doing that. It's not my problem what these people are doing. And maybe instead of trying to talk myself out of something that is very real and making it seem like it's not real for the people who are doing it, maybe I should be working on my own life, my own relationship with myself, and figuring out how that could be possible for me. Because I'm telling you right now, everything that I have in my life that is considered a blessing, I have worked extremely hard for. My relationship, the amount of time I put into my own inner work, and the amount of time we dedicate to building a healthy relationship is some things that some of you guys don't know how to do that for yourself even. So it's like, when you're out here like, I wish I had that, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, and you're like thinking people are just out here getting that stuff, that's false. That is completely false. And if they are just getting it, they might be in a place where they already have the capacity to handle that. So I'm just saying, like, anything good that people have in their lives, they're doing things to be in alignment with that, internally and externally. So instead of comparing, instead of complaining, and being like down on yourself and getting mad at other people for having things that you don't. Like, you guys need to know that it takes time, effort, building a mindset, and putting the work in, the uncomfortable work in, the like all of it. Okay, so I'm saying this out of love because there's so many people in a disempowered place right now because they're not looking at what they can do, where they can assume responsibility and welcome growth into their own life and actually take the initiative to learn about what I need to do, how I need to show up, what's the healthiest way to deal with this, what's the healthiest way to show up in this, and actually evolve yourself. Choose to evolve. Live on purpose. Don't just like sit here and be living on accident. You know what I'm saying? There's an aspect of life that is peaceful, that we cannot control, and it's just something that is somewhat accidental, but at the same time, I don't really believe much in coincidences. I really just believe that, like, you know, I do believe in accidents, but overall, a lot of things in life, people like to overuse the word accident and act like they don't know what's going on or how certain things happened. And there's a lot to be said about awareness that you can pick apart in your life to see how you can actually alter the paradigm of your own life. In my opinion, this is beautiful information. This is all information that changed my life and that I continue to adopt and keep in my own life, that continues to propel me forward. And it's just, if you take it the right way, it could be profoundly life-changing for you. But if it makes you irritated and you don't like it, maybe it's not time for you, or maybe you should investigate those feelings of, you know, not feeling like too great about maybe some of the things I said, and understand that there is nuance to everything. Like, don't apply everything I say to your specific situation. If you want to hear what I have to say about your specific situation, you should probably book a call with me, because there are, I will say, there's a certain grace to be said about, depending on the situation, how certain decisions and movements should be made. There's always a level of like personalization that comes with, like, you know, evolving. But if I were to be general, it's really just about getting aware, being decisive, developing your vision, your self-worth, your identity, like just really just being honest with yourself, looking at what you want, looking at where you're at, developing your awareness, and being decisive. That is just huge. And like, then just like keep on going. Like, none of us are perfect. None of us make the perfect decisions all the time. You have to be willing to experience. And I'm telling you, the most confident people in the world, and even myself, I would consider myself fairly confident. It's because I've made so many mistakes and I was willing to experience and move as much as I needed to learn my lessons. And I did. And that's why I'm able to actually confidently approach a lot more in my life, is because I actually effed up so many times. So like, you sitting there hesitating and just sitting there and robbing you of so many life lessons, and actually taking like just experiences, lessons, and with those lessons and the things you learn and like the movement that happens, the blessings that come from that, you know, it's like, I've gotten so much in my life because I was willing to make mistakes and mess up and figure out what the heck is going on with my life and what I deserve, what I want, and who I want to be. That takes trial and error. So some of you kind of get stuck on a level and you stick to it, even though it's painful and it doesn't seem exactly in alignment with you, because you're afraid. And I get that, because I'm very afraid to take leaps, even to this day. Making this life change that I just made, it was scary, and there was parts of it that were very uncomfortable, and I still experience it. But did that stop me? No. Do it afraid, show up messy, show up imperfect. One thing I wanted to say the other day that I'm remembering now is, your body is still going to look jacked even if you showed up to working out tired, you showed up with a migraine, you showed up not feeling good, feeling lazy, you showed up even though something happened that day, someone made you cry, made you angry, someone did something traumatic, like whatever happens, your body, if you show up to your workout every day regardless of what happens, those results are still going to be those results. So showing up and putting in the time, putting in the reps, putting in the inner work, the outer work, whatever, the work doesn't care how you show up to it. You know what I'm saying? You're still going to grow, you're still going to benefit, and you're still going to get the reward. So I'm just telling you guys this because some of you guys are hesitating and not showing up because this didn't happen, or you don't feel perfect, or you feel not pretty, or whatever. And it's like you're keeping yourself from actually becoming that, waiting for you to be that before you're that. So you can't be that without doing the work to be that. So, and that's with everything, that I can apply this to so many goals, so many things. This is like universal information. So take with it what you will. I need to stop because I have to go. I spend too much time in here. I just get so passionate. I get riled up because I just want people to succeed. There's enough room. There's enough resources for everyone. And I'm just saying, like, some of you are sleeping on the infinite expansion and blessings that there are out here for you. You don't have to sit in limitation and pain and like this restricted life. You don't have to sit in that. There's so many options. There's so much work to be done and so many ways to expand yourself. You should not feel stuck. It's normal to feel stuck. I'm not shaming being stuck or feeling stuck. I'm not shaming it, but I'm just saying you shouldn't be there for that long. Like, and this is just coming from the most loving place as possible. And I tell myself this because would you rather let yourself be kind to yourself and let yourself be stuck when it's not the healthiest move for you? Or would you rather get real, have it sting a little, and then be able to do what you want? That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, so I have to go, but I hope this helps someone. Comment what your favorite part of this was. DM me if you want to work with me, and I'll post this on YouTube. YouTube videos are coming soon. I hope everyone has a good day, and I forget, I'm winding down from this, but I hope everyone has a good day. Tell me what you liked about this. Don't take it if it's not for you or if you're on a different level, and I love you.